All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. If you are returning, if you are new, then welcome in. In this video, we're going to be talking about HEX and more specifically, its adoption over time. I have two new charts for you, one of them comparing HEX versus Ether adoption over time since launch, measured by unique addresses on that specific crypto, right? And the second is the way the price of HEX more or less correlates with adoption. And there are some pretty interesting insights that I personally gathered from that chart. And maybe you'll interpret it the same way. Maybe you'll interpret something new and different that you'll be able to then share with me in the comments below. So subscribe if you're new. I saw in our analytics that we have tens of thousands of people watching and there are 5,000 subscribed, which is amazing. It's an amazing number. But I'm realizing that either subscribe or leave. You don't get to watch this content for free, all right? So with that said, let's talk about, first of all, HEX's number 3 market cap, $90 billion, fantastic. Moving on to what I was just talking about, let's first of all go into this chart, which is adoption since launch, all right? So here we have plotted the number of unique addresses over time for both Ether and HEX respectively, green and pink curves. And you see that, we started off pretty much around the same level at around 10,000 or so. Let's turn on compare mode. Makes life much easier. So you can see that we started off with Ether at about 9,000, HEX at about 7,000. And then they kind of more or less were the same for a little bit until around over here, right? What is this, day 125? Where HEX crossed Ethereum and it was beating it. This here was during the 2020 summer DeFi bull run, if you guys remember that, when DeFi was hot. Unfortunately, there were a ton of rug pulls during that time, new projects popping up. I believe that was when BSC was launching and you had things launching on there, and you also had a bunch of coins launching on Ethereum, all those food tokens. It got ugly. A lot of people lost a lot of money, unfortunately, and DeFi was kind of not burned, but it left a stain on its reputation, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion. But you can see that pretty much, around May, I remember this was the peak of price because I plotted them together here, right? That first local peak when we were pretty much done with 116x, I believe, from the bottom to the top. May 2020, we reached like 60% of a penny. And you can see that adoption pretty much slowed down ever since, and it's just been kind of grinding up, right? It shot up from around 25,000 or so unique addresses during this part of the price, right? And then when we ran up and had it was like another 10x move, I believe. Something like that. Like the Godwill doubled it, and then it went up another like 4 or 5x, and so we ended up at like a 10x from that kind of point. So after that happened, we went from about 25,000 unique addresses to about 200,000. So a really nice 8x in number of users. You could argue in adoption. Obviously, the kind of the point that you can make, right, against this model is that people have multiple addresses, and that is true. That is true. But it's kind of harder to tell. I guess we could plot unique stakers versus this. But then again, not everyone stakes, right? So you see the dilemma where you can plot unique addresses, but a bunch of people, people might have multiple addresses, but you could also just plot stakers as a kind of a metric for active addresses. But then again, not everyone's staking. Only 10% of the system is staked. So is that a fair metric? No. An average of the two? Is it a simple average? Do you weight one more than the other? Like, these are real questions. And so we're just going to measure with unique addresses because you can say the same for both, I guess, right? You can say the same for Ethereum. People might have multiple addresses for their Ether, for their HEX, whatever. So it's kind of like the flaw. That's what I was looking for. The flaw in this model is real, but since it pertains to both variables, I think it cancels out, and it's still a good metric of relative to each other, right? So continuing on, you see that again we've stalled out and been on a slow grind from 200,000 users, so to speak, to about, 300,000 users in the span of, what is that, 620-ish minus 160. What is that, like 460 a year and 100 days, so a year and 3 months ish. We've been slowly grinding about 100K new users, so not bad. But something which is interesting and I really do like to see, I'm going to zoom in here so you can really notice what I'm looking at, is that it seems the overall concavity is starting to curve to the upside, right? Like if you look at this curve, it was flat, but now it looks like it's curving to the upside, which I like to see, right? It's indicative of something like this. When you start seeing it curve to the upside, generally it's virality, so to speak. So when people say Hex is pre-viral, I see it. I'm going to fix this so that you actually see the commas with Hex. That's kind of bugging me. Number of holders. You just go to format, number, decrease a few decimals, and it should be good. Yeah, much nicer. Okay. So yeah, you can see that around, you can basically play with this. After the first year or so, Ether was about 500,000, Hex was about 250,000, and you could argue that there's a ton of gatekeeping right now. So if certain sites decide to actually rightfully place Hex where it is, that's a lot of traffic, it's a lot of users, right? Arguably dozens to hundreds of millions of users. So let's say there's a site that gets 30 million views a month, or users coming to the site, and just 1% of those see Hex is number 3 and decide to enter, right? What's 1% of 30 million? It's a lot. It's like 300,000. Yeah. So that would be equivalent to an extra 300,000 addresses in a month, right? And that's the kind of virality we're looking for if we expect to catch up to something like Ethereum. To be completely frank, like a year from now, let's say day 1,000 or so. On day 1,000, Ethereum crossed the 34 million addresses mark, right? So in the next year to reach 34 million, well, we have a long way to go, right? We need to more or less 100x our user base. So how do you 100x a user base in a year? Well, if we got that sort of traffic, for example, 30 million users a month, like a 1% conversion rate, which is honestly probably conservative. It'd probably be higher if all of a sudden, boom, Hex is number 3. You guys know which side I'm talking about. I just don't like to name drop it. But yeah, I was just doing some quick math here, right? Like if 300,000 a month, for example, for the next 12 months is another 3.6 million users. So it would basically put us at around the 4 million mark, right? At the end of this day 1,000. So it'd basically be like around here, which isn't bad, right? It's not bad at all. But it would be interesting to see another movement in price actually spark another wave of adoption. This is the interesting thing about cryptos. It's ironic because the higher the price goes, the more the people want it. It's kind of like a Veblen good in that sense. And you can see that kind of visualized here by Hex adoption, by plotting unique addresses as well as price over time. Again, what I was talking about, how if we were to have another crazy fractal, sort of we were to follow the fractal analysis that we've been looking at, or something like this, for example, where we have a pump that takes us another 10x, right? I covered this in a previous video that this is an average of all of these post-week bullish engulfing case, because it's not a technical bullish engulfing, right? So we came up with our own little hybrid model here that puts us, this is a hyper bullish model, puts us, in the dollar range to $2 range pretty quickly in the next few months. Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I have no clue. I do think this is hyper bullish, right? I pointed it out multiple times. I think this is like best case scenario type event. But again, that's just my opinion. I have no idea what's going to happen. But if we were to have another sort of spike in price, I think that would be nice. Didn't mean to rhyme there. But a spike in price, say 10x into the dollar regions, once we get into that regime, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more people hearing about it and getting in and being like, oh, it's still cheap, right? That unit bias, only a few pennies or a few dollars. I think that unit bias is real when they compare to other things like Ethereum, Bitcoin that are worth thousands of dollars, and they tell themselves, this might be able to increase in price. Not realizing that liquidity is what's actually important, but you know what? That's okay. The unit bias is a good sort of marketing tactic that I think if you combine good marketing, good crypto, you have what we have here, which is beautiful charts that mainly go up and to the right, right? Obviously some extreme volatility, nasty dips, but overall I love these charts. So yeah, that's the adoption. These are the adoption models I made. Let me know what you guys think. I tried to get info on Bitcoin, but it was such a pain, man. Like there were paywalls behind everything. They weren't necessarily the curves I wanted because they were just particular to one type of Bitcoin wallet by like one company. So I don't know. I think this is a fair measurement, right? Ethereum versus HEX, a fair comparison. Also, I really found this interesting how it correlates to price so much, and then it makes sense, right? It really does. So I wanted to update you guys on lookintohex.com/shares because we just did one little update, right? And that's the total time value is now. I fixed the what is it called? The label. The labels were incorrect, and I also made it 3D. I thought it looks cooler. So that's fixed. Also, everything on the site, if you guys follow on Twitter, I updated you guys that everything on the site is now compare mode. All the charts are compare mode, meaning that as you scroll, you can basically see all levels at once, which makes things so much easier. For example, if you want to know today, where do all these levels lie? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and pink, right? Then you can just hover above today. You don't have to like do this and look at all of them separately. You can simply select August 14th and it shows you where all the levels are. For example, right now, the sort of green midline of the regression is at around 24 cents or so. And the absolute most bullish part of the regression rainbow here is the pink level, obviously, and it's sitting at $1.08 today. So I thought that's a pretty cool addition. I added this to all of the charts, so you can pretty much follow them and see. For example, compare the HEX extension to the ETH extension. Pretty close, right? HEX at 3, ETH is at 3.5 during the same period in its history. So yeah, I'm really happy we did that. It makes everything so much more efficient. And again, we applied it to all of the charts. If you find one, like a bug, right? If you find one chart where it hasn't been applied, let me know. But I'm pretty sure we updated every single one. And yeah, that's the update on that. On price, obviously we're pumping. It's nice. We're at 15.6 cents. Nice rally after that cross that we pointed out here. Very cool. We're above our short-term moving averages. I like to see it. Once again, we're kind of on track. You could argue we're on track for this model, right? If you look at the candle we are currently printing, right, on track. Again, this fractal I found very interesting because I simply measured a fractal of this move over here. Was just eyeballing it and looking for a spot where it intersected nicely. And if you place the fractal right here, every single candle intersects with current candles, right? Every historical candle intersects with current candles. And the next candle in this sort of model would be 14 to 17 cents next week. And then, I mean, would we see a sort of God candle like this where we pump just from 15 straight to 40 cents? I don't know, right? It could happen a variety of ways. It could happen sooner and then like it levels off. It could just take its sweet time and then just kind of exponential curve its way up. Or it could do something like this, or this might not even happen, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but just wanted to point out some of my more bullish models so you don't think I'm holding back, because I do think this is possible, right? I do. Let's look at again, bounced off of our 3-day moving average channel. I like to see it. I pointed this out a few times. Here, let's release the sort of parabola. You could say we're holding a parabola. We have been. So, I mean, things look good. Things look good. Let's get rid of this, go back to our moving average channel, and just kind of show you how we dipped into it. We came down to it over here. Over here we hung out. Great time to buy. Same over here. Everything over here was pre-big payday, but nonetheless, there were times where price was beneath it. Great buying opportunities, historically speaking. And, right, we're bouncing off of it super nicely. Came to test it, so there you go. I like to see it. If you compare your HEX to BTC ratios, we haven't looked at these in a long time. You can see we have these nice regions where we seem to consolidate above previous peaks before moving back up. We had a nice bubble, came back down. It seems like we have some consolidation on previous peaks. What I really like to see though is this hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but check this out. I'm dropping gold here. I bet you there are groups that you have to pay like mad amounts of money to just get this info, and here I am just dropping gems. So smash that like if you appreciate this. Yeah, so this hidden bullish divergence, and we saw a nice bounce after it, and now we have our actual first non-hidden but clear as day bullish divergence, right? This one's actually not even hidden. So I love to see it. Yeah, this is a really bullish chart. We're just bubbling up. Like, I think it's clear skies on these types of charts because HEX is just unique, man. Like, it's nuts. Yeah, coming back down to test these other levels, like again, previous all-time high regions. Maybe if we zoom out to like the 3-day, it's a little clearer. Yeah, again, similar regions. Look at that. Look at that hidden bullish divergence on the 3-day. Yeah, I'm just having fun now here. So if you're still sticking around, you're a real one. But yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Retesting previous all-time highs. Huge bullish hidden bullish divergence on the 3-day. I mean, things look good to me, man. Like, let's zoom out. Like, when you zoom out on all these charts, it's just like the trend is your friend. All right, that's pretty much it. Enough googling these charts and just like, I can't even talk right now. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to share kind of this to finish off the video is the traffic to the site to LookIntoHex, which is, I just want to let you guys know how much I do appreciate it. 18,700 sessions in the past year alone. We launched the site in early May, right? And then we had our first shout out pump over here where Richard actually mentioned it on his Twitter. He said something like, it's cool to see people doing their own analysis and showed the HEX versus BTC ROI from launch. Got this nice little spike from that tweet. And then after that, we got a Trayvon James pump from when he mentioned on his channel. And then we got Richard mention it on his channel versus his Twitter from back here. So we got another spike. And then recently we've had these spikes, I believe, when we launch a new chart. So that's pretty cool. I like to see that you guys like the chart. Regression Rainbow is most popular. The Pulse charts were pretty popular. HEX BTC and the Sacrifice. Man, yeah, you guys are Pulse heads, man. Those videos do super well. Like, I think our most viewed Pulse videos like at 9K views. You guys are nuts. You guys are mooning these charts. Like, look at this. Started off at 1K when I started making videos just in April, 4 months ago. You guys have been moonshotting this chart too. We're now at 5K. Some of you guys asked to see the subscriber chart, so I just want to share this with you. Very cool. Yeah, we just hit 5K yesterday, and you guys are just sending it already like 5,100. So I do appreciate it. Yeah, enjoy the almost all-time highs. I did want to point out one final thing. If we zoom out to the weekly, I mean, it just looks good. We're above our 20-week moving averages super nicely. And not only that, I wanted to point this out, that we have broken the top of this candle. Fun fact. Broken this level, which is significant in my opinion, because people sometimes focus on the daily, but when you zoom out, you realize like, oh, this level's at 14.8 cents. We're above that with a candle. If we close above this before tomorrow, right? What is it? I think it's like 20 hours from the time of filming this video. Right, UTC turnover into Monday, then if we close with a candle above, in my opinion, 14.81 cents, so the 15-cent region or above, like where we are now, it's super bullish. because you're seeing candles being printed the highest they've ever been printed, which is more easily visualized by a line chart, right? You get rid of the wicks and you just say, okay, let's just look at the candles. Let's forget hourly or even daily wicks, right? Let's look at the weekly. Putting yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't check the chart every day and just goes by their life week to week, might check, might not check, and this is more representative of that kind of long-term approach. And you can see again on a line chart, well, we're breaking all-time highs. So I wanted to point that out. It's significant in my opinion. All entertainment, no financial advice, not a financial advisor, all that good stuff. But the monthly chart, this monthly chart looks like a hammer forming. Obviously we are only like halfway done with the month, but this is looking like a nice hammer. So if we were to break this, again, these levels, which we seem to be above right now, so closing tomorrow bullish above 15 cents, it looks likely. I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? We still have 20 hours left. Anything can happen. So proceed with caution, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the candle get close to, the 20-cent region. And if we had a candle close here at some point, usually when candles close where a wick used to fill that spot, especially near all-time highs, that's generally super bullish too. So then you could be, you could be expecting some major fireworks, and that would correspond to a candle all the way up here, nice wick, so it would be a nice hammer, and that might be the candle to send us, you guys. Who knows, right? I have no clue. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment. Are you as bullish as I am? Should I kind of cool it down a little bit and cool it on the bullish predictions? Let me know in the comments what you think. I appreciate you watching. This was a longer one, so I appreciate it sticking around. It's kind of late, so excuse me if I didn't articulate things perfectly at some points, kind of paused. But I appreciate you watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share the video. And once again, I'll catch you in tomorrow's video.